On today's episode of the DeRaud Messengers Show, we make our Texas high school football playoff picks doing round 5. High school football fans, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. So to begin, Dylan, I have to make an apology. I don't like to make these frequent, Dylan. I know you are quite used to giving apologies. For me, it's a little more rare of an occasion. But Prosper, I am so deeply sorry that I picked against you guys in the last round. But Dylan, the apology only lasts so long. I am picking Duncanville in this game. Duncanville, Dylan, as we've said in weeks past, is this finally, and I say finally, emphasis on the finally, is this finally their year where they can overcome the obstacle course that has been North Shore? And, next game, Dylan, we have a little bit of North Shore and Westlake action, but sticking to Duncanville, can they stop Harrison Rosar from being a playmaker for Prosper? This would be, Dylan, if Prosper were to win, the biggest upset that Duncanville has faced in quite some time, if I'm being honest. Southlake Carroll did beat them in the 2020 playoffs, Dylan. However, they still had Quinn Ewers and Owen Allen. In that game, Quinn Ewers is pretty much bottled up for the Dragons. Owen Allen, who I believe is second place in the all-time rushing list in the DFW area, went off. And, Duncanville just elected to let Carroll, beat them with the run. Can they do something like this in this game against Prosper and, of course, limit the run damage here? To be determined. Caden Durham, obviously the Duncanville running back, has been doing his thing, and I keep on hyping up the boy Colin Simmons at linebacker for Duncanville. I have Duncanville in this one, Dylan. No surprise there, given my little intro there. But if Prosper were to win, Dylan, there's going to be an absolute party and parade, I think. And they're, one win away, Dylan, from a title appearance. So how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, you definitely have to treat it like a championship in that sense. You beat Duncanville. Congratulations. And Devon, this is the first time since '08 that Prosper has advanced to the semifinal round here. And the last time they did that, they did end up winning the state championship. So if they were to get over this hump, maybe that momentum, history can repeat itself. But Devin, what we got to really look at is that defensive matchup. When you think of Duncanville, obviously you think of that defense, but Prosper actually got a good one as well. They're fourth in the 6A in scoring defense, Devin, and 11th in rush defense with 127.6 yards per game allowed, which is exactly where Caden Durham is averaging this season at around that 127 mark. So that's a matchup to watch if Caden Durham can continue to, change the game with his legs and, make Prosper have to really sell out to stop him, and that'll open up that Duncanville passing game as well. But when you talk about, Prosper and Harrison Rosar, Devin, that Duncanville defense, talking about the defense on the other side for Prosper, second best passing defense at 101.2 pass yards per game, plus, like you said, Colin Simmons. It's just so much talent on that Duncanville side, and I think Prosper can crack that 10-point threshold we always talk about with Duncanville. But I think this Duncanville team's gonna be able to put up, 24 points on Prosper, and I don't think it'll be enough. But it should be a good game. Now, the next one we got a 681 matchup as well with number 2 North Shore versus number 1 Austin Westlake. Devin, Austin Westlake hasn't lost since October 11th, 2019, which I think we were at that game against Lake Travis, possibly, when they ended up
Yep.
losing, but haven't lost since, and they've been crucifying teams in these playoffs, by a margin of 31 points at a minimum. So they're just destroying teams on their way to the state semis here, and it's gonna be a little difficult. It's going to be the battle of the backup quarterbacks, possibly, Devin. I don't know. There's question marks around Paxton Land possibly starting for Westlake. Look for Brett Skinner to start in this one. But on the other side with North Shore, obviously wide receiver turned QB. We've talked about him a lot. David Amador, he had a great game against Atascocita. But my worry is I think that that loss of Caleb Baylor is going to finally catch up to them, especially against this Westlake team that does not remember how to lose, Devin. So I'm going to be going with Austin Westlake in this one.
Yeah, my A plus notes, Dylan, as always. The first line I have here is Westlake the same team as they were last year? Dylan, the answer is no. However, they're still a pretty dang good team, Dylan. As you talked about the point margin differential, I believe they've scored about 600 more points this season than opponents. If you want to break that out, by week, go ahead and do that. But that is a lot of points. As you talked about, Land, I believe is a question mark, which is kind of surprising to me as you're talking about Dylan. in the past 2 weeks, Skinner has received more of the snaps. I don't know if that's just because they've been up big in all their games, in the past, well, I mean, really since the Lake Travis game, like mid-season. However, that's something to be watching out for. Paxton Land is I believe, 3-star quarterback. Skinner also, though, has been doing just as good when he's had the opportunity. But the question mark I had for this game, Dylan, is Jack Kaiser, the Chaparral's running back. Can the Chaps running back, be a factor against North Shore, a team that, led by Coach John Kay, is historically great at stopping the run? Can he be a factor in this game? And if not, then you have to turn to Land or Skinner, as you're talking about, and how much of a factor can they be throwing the football? That's the thing to watch out for in this game. As you talked about with Bailey being injured for North Shore, I'm kind of skeptical for North Shore in this one. I'm not doubtful, Dylan, because you can't be doubtful against North Shore, but it's going to take definitely at least a B plus to an A game in order to beat Westlake in this one. Regardless of all the talent that they lost last year, of course, Dylan, anyone who watches football knows they still have their fair share this year with Great House, and then just a bunch of other guys like on the defensive side of the ball, such as Colton Bosick. The next game we have a 6A D2 matchup that Dylan and I admittedly have had a tough time picking. It is number 13 DeSoto versus number 6 Denton Guyer. Now, Dylan, of course, I must claim my boy, Jackson Arnold. He had a good game last weekend, unfortunately, for us Dragons fans against South Lake Carroll. That was no surprise to us, though, Dylan. We did pick Guyer. However, if he has another good performance in this week, Dylan, of course, he's going to make it back-to-back title appearances. However, of course, they fell short to Westlake last season. But Dylan and I had this little debate, just talking about what we're thinking in this game. I was leaning toward DeSoto early on in the week. They have, obviously, Jonte Cook at wide receiver. They have a plethora of running backs, 3 that actually get a good amount of playing time and yardage and production. And then a decent quarterback that's been able to, get his receiving threats involved. However, as I talked about Guyer with Arnold, that's something, Dylan, at the star position, when the guy has the ball every single play, regardless of how he were to be able to get it. Wide receiver, of course, Jonte Cook is going to have to rely on a multitude of factors. I like Arnold here. He's just as big of a threat running the football as he is passing it. You got guys like Peyton Bowen, who have been in the secondary for Guyer on the defensive side of the ball, but usually in the years past they've been also playing a little bit of offense in the playoffs. They have playmakers. I got Guyer in this one, Dylan, but this is going to be a game where I'm going to be holding my breath, and definitely, in my opinion, probably the game of the week.
Yeah, it could go either way. I think it's gonna be a plethora of points, Devon, or at least I would hope. So expect like maybe a 58-56 kind of game at this point, just based off how these offenses kind of operate. But we were talking about earlier, Devon. There's that star power factor in this game, and it's gonna be who's gonna create that narrative or extend their narrative, better yet, and who's gonna be going home. Jonte Cook, Arnold, both playing extremely well in these playoffs, but one of them has to win, Devon. And it's going to be tough. I mean, with Jonte Cook, he's got quarterback DJ Bailey, and this Denton Guyer defense, Devon, has been susceptible to the pass. They've allowed Highland Park quarterback Brennan Stower and Byron Nelson QB Jacob Wilson to throw over 350 yards against them. So DJ Bailey is in line to have a good game, and just, I feel that game, but you got to just get the ball to Cook. You're talking about all this multitude of, let Cook cook. There's the multitude of factors of him getting the ball. Well, honestly, just scheme him the ball in a lot of ways. Come out firing, first set, scripted plays off the bat, opening drive, just feed him the ball and get Denton Guyer on their toes and nervous. You gotta come out there and show them why they should be feared, and I think that'd be the best way to do it. But the dual threat ability, Devon, of Arnold that we've been seeing more and more in these playoffs as he's continued to extend drives with his legs. I feel like that's going to be the difference factor in just the way he can disrupt the defense and just the intangibles of, being a star quarterback, in this division. I think that's really what's going to carry Guyer into the next round here.
Yeah, and like you're talking about Guyer, the defense, has not been great, as you're talking about, against Highland Park. And then who was the other team doing? I blanked on the other team you mentioned, but there's
Byron Nelson.
Byron Nelson, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Their secondary has been a little bit banged up. I talked about Peyton Bowen. Unfortunately, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Eli Bowen, his brother, was injured and is out for the season. So, yes, they're a little bit banged up there. So, will be something to watch in the secondary for them. Now, on a lighter note, Dylan, we have the lightning round. Of course, all the games today have been ranked matchups only, so there are a few games that are left out. However, we still have a lot more games here than we usually do. The first game we have, kind of a shocker. I owe an apology here in a second. 6A, D2, number 17, Vandegrift versus number 5, Katy. Now, Dylan, I owe an apology to a Central Texas, friend in Vandegrift. The Central Texas bond for me, Dylan, is something very important. And I picked against them, against another Central Texas team in Dripping Springs, albeit, yes, I understand. However, I did pick against the Vipers. And it is with great regret, Dylan, that I'm going to pick Katy in this one.
Yeah, Devin, it's, public apology time. And, you got to admit your mistakes. And Vandegrift came out there and played with a lot of heart. But I'm not going to apologize for this week's pick because I don't think Vandegrift's going to be able to stop that running game with Seth Davis at running back. I'm going with Katy in this matchup. Their next we have 5A D1, number 3 Aledo, number 1 Longview. Devin, I don't want to say I called at the beginning of the year, but here comes Longview on their way to a championship if they can get past Toledo. And I really like Longview's, multitude of facets of many big words on offense in which they can score. So I'm going to be going with Longview.
Yeah, I was rewatching the video, Dylan, and I think you're the first to speak on Longview. I'm pretty sure I agreed with you on this pick. So, at the beginning of the year, Longview, in order to prove us right, of course, has to win this game. Aledo, quote-unquote down year here. However, I wouldn't consider it a down year. They, hanged in there and beat, of course, many top opponents. But is this the weekend where they go down in the playoffs, Dylan? I also got Longview there. The next game we have is 5A D2, number 8, South Oak Cliff versus number 1, Argyle. Now, Dylan, this was a tough pick for one reason, primarily. I picked South Oak Cliff and that preseason title pick video. And do I want to go against my decision back then? No, I do not. I got the Golden Bears in this one.
So, Devin, this is going to be the nail in your coffin. But I also like the Golden Bears in this matchup with South Oak Cliff. I think they're coming back. They're a physical team. And it's going to be a lot for Argyle to handle because I know they're sitting at number 8. They're one of those really talented teams. It's like in the NFL when that team's banged up with injuries just sneaks into that 7 seed. And you're sitting at that number 2 spot. And you're like, really? I have to play my home game against this team? This is not what I envisioned when I got this. This is not why I wanted to play well in the regular season. So I'm going to be going with South Oak Cliff. We might be cursing them here, but I really like this matchup for them. Our next we have 4A D1, number 7, Tyler Chapel Hill. There's number 3, Burn. Devin, I have Born in this one.
Dylan, this is like two or three videos in a row. It's It's Bernie. It's Bernie. It's Bernie.
I'm gonna start saying Barn now by accident.
No, it's okay. This is an important show for forgiveness, and I will forgive you for that mistake. However, I'm sorry, Bernie fans. Yet again, going with that preseason title picks video, Chapel Hill was one of my sleeper picks. I didn't have them winning the title, but I had them making a run, to pay homage to my boys. I'm going to pick Chapel Hill in this game. The next game we have, Dylan, 4A D2, number 9, Glen Rose versus number 1, Carthage. Now, Carthage, I know I did you guys dirty a couple weeks ago. I'm back on the Carthage train. Dylan, I believe I picked them as my preseason title pick. I'd have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure that they were. So I'm sticking with them here. Carthage, number 1 team in the state. It's not smart to pick against them, and I've learned my lesson way too many times.
Are you allowed to claim that, though, after, switching up on them in the playoffs and picking them to lose? I don't know. It feels like there's got to be some...
I honestly totally forgot I picked them in the preseason, Dylan, but, we're back. We did some enlightening.
If Devin gets this right, it's a Mickey Mouse win for him picking Carthage to win this year. Not real. But I will also be going with Carthage in this one. Now, next one we have 4A D2, number 6, Wimberley, Devin, and number 3, Cuero. I think I keep picking against Cuero, Devin. I feel bad, but I'm going to go against them again with Wimberley in this matchup.
And, Dylan, that is a tough pick. This game was the probably other one that I really was going back and forth on. Cuero, I believe, went 3 rounds of OT last weekend and, of course, was able to come out with the win. Wimberley, They're undefeated on the season. However, have they played the same level of competition that Cuero has? Arguably, no. Dylan's gonna be a good game. Let's see if Cuero can, come in refreshed after, like I said, that triple OT win. I got Cuero in this one. Shout out to Jordan Whittington.
Is this a Devon theory game? Is
It's
this tested right here with the
huge Devon
schedule?
theory game. This is
Okay, mark it.
stamina to the test, and but more importantly, yes, the strength of schedule theory that I am, writing my textbook on currently. The next game we have is 3A D1. Dylan, here comes some more theories. Number 7 Brock versus number 2 Malakoff. Now this is a textbook strength of schedule game for me. Number 7 Brock, of course, I believe they have 4 losses on the season. But if you look at the losses, Dylan, they're all against great opponents. They scheduled a great, schedule. Entering this year, they knew they were going to be battle tested coming in, and they've gotten their share of battle tests. But Dylan, because of those tests, they turned out to be a better individual, a better team here. I got Brock.
Yeah, Brock's kind of like Oregon, Devin. They, scheduled some Georgia level teams at the beginning of the year and lost them off the bat, but they really came into themselves. Looked like a great team in these playoffs. Tough draw for Malakoff in this one, but I'm going to be going with number 7 Brock in this matchup. And the next one we have 3AD2, number 4 Canadian. It's number 1 Gunter. Gunters look great, Devin. I really can't pick against them. I think they're just a really complete team in this one.
Yeah, I've been riding Gunter all year, and I will continue to pick them in this one. Next game we have 2AD1, number 3 Crawford versus number 2 Holly. This one was also another debate for me, but Dylan, flip a coin. Holly's just been too good this season. That's who I got.
Crawford treated you well last week, Devin, but yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you with number 2 Holly. Next one we have 2AD1, number 4 Refugio versus number 1 Timpson. Devin, I've liked this Refugio team. They've won games like that Shiner game where I had doubts about them. But Timpson, I think they just got that championship DNA in them, that talent-wise. I think that they just got that destiny feel in which it's going to be theirs this year. So I'm going to be going with Timpson.
Yeah, Timpson, the defense has been, rock solid this season. And they're one of the few super small schools that have had, their share of college football D1 talent, Dylan, which obviously, when you're at a lower level, seems to play more of a role in the final game outcome. I also do have Timpson here, but yet again, it's always tough to pick against a team like Refugio. And then the last game of the week, 2A D2, number 2 Burton versus number 1 Mart. Dylan, what I call a 2 versus 1 matchup before the title game, an unofficial title game matchup. Mart, yet again, is like a Carthage-esque sort of team, if you know high school football at all, and I don't want to pick against the number 1 team that is a Carthage-esque team. I have Mart.
Yeah, we might be building them up a little too much. It could come back to get us. This could make or break us, Devin, and our reputation, but I will be going with Mart.
Dylan, all reputation has been lost a long time ago. But more importantly, guys, who are you watching this weekend? Let us know down below which game you're going to be, tuning into. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, have a great rest of your day.